Going to call this meeting of the Oskaloosa City Council to order. Today is Monday, October 7th of 2019. We start by the invocation by Pastor Bruce Wittern, Central United Methodist Church.
Shall we pray together? God, we thank you for this beautiful day, for the sunshine after the rain. We thank you for this season, and as we look forward to an abundant harvest, we thank you too, God, for all the construction projects that are going on around our city, and ask that those things might be able to be completed before the cold weather sets in. Guide and direct in that. And Lord, we thank you that you have entrusted the overseeing of this city into capable hands. We thank you for the men and women that serve on this council. We'd ask, God, that you would give them wisdom as they work together, and a sense of unity for the common good. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Would you join us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Burnett. Caligari.
Here.
Joss.
Here.
Moore.
Here.
Addison.
Here.
Walling.
Here.
Yates.
Here. Okay, thank you. First up is the opportunity for community comments. This item is reserved to receive comments from the community for concerns whether or not they are included on the current agenda. The community is encouraged to come and speak before the mayor and city council, asked to keep statements brief, time limited to no more than 3 minutes. Any questions are to be asked of the city staff, council members, or the mayor prior to speaking to the full council, so concerns can be properly researched and perhaps answered away from the meeting. Comments are to be directed to the mayor and city council only. Is there anyone who would like to speak tonight? Seeing none, we'll move on. This next item is the consent agenda. These are all items that are routine in nature. I did want to point out there was only one item. It's the appointment, I believe. Here we go. To the Historic Preservation Commission with Ross Knob listed, and his qualifications are in the packet. Do we have a motion supporting the consent agenda?
Second.
I apologize for that. Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Walling.
Yes.
Yates.
Yes.
Caligari.
Yes.
Joss.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Addison.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Gets us into the regular agenda. Item A, this is the announcement of vacancies we have on various boards and commissions. First is the Airport Commission. We have one vacancy for a 6-year term that begins January 1st of 2020, and one vacancy for a term that's ending on December 31st of 2021. Board of Adjustment, there's 2 vacancies for 5-year terms that begin January 1st of 2020, and one vacancy for a term ending December 31st of 2020. Building Code Board of Appeals, we have one vacancy for an ex officio member. The Historic Preservation Commission, there's 3 vacancies for 3-year terms that begin January 1 of 2020. There's one vacancy for an alternate member for a 3-year term. Mahaska County Solid Waste Management Commission and Recycling Committee, there are 5 vacancies for 1-year terms beginning on January 1st of 2020. The Mahaska County Emergency Management, there's one vacancy for a 2-year term. That begins on January 1st of 2020. Stephen Memorial Animal Shelter, there's one vacancy for a 2-year term beginning January 1st of 2020. And on the Water Board, we have one vacancy. It's for an unexpired term that's ending on June 2022 due to the recent resignation of Nick Jones. Moving on to item B, this is an opportunity for a public hearing. We're considering an ordinance amending Oskaloosa Municipal Code Title 17 zoning by incorporating some corrections and minor modifications that include setbacks and off-street parking and pavement standards. Let's see, the recommendation was approved by a 5-0 vote following a public hearing at the September 4th Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. And it corrects various errors, adds missing information, clarifies certain standards, and makes some minor amendments that are designed to ease development restraints. The amendments also include a provision to remove gravel and stone as a surface option in commercial districts in response to council's goal of improving our gateways and corridors. There's more information that can be found in the communication sheet to the Planning and Zoning Commission that's in our packet. I'll open the floor for the public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to speak to this? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Do we have a motion supporting this first reading of the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
When we say gravel and stone, does that include seal coat?
We are not eliminating seal coat, so that will still be an option.
Or just loose,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
Yeah, thanks.
Other comments or questions?
This would be on anything new?
Yes, or something that was triggered by a site plan.
Any other comments? Roll call, please.
Yates,
Yes.
Calgery,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Addison,
Yes.
Walling,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Item C is to consider a resolution approving the plan specifications, form of contract, and estimated cost for Division 1 of the Phase 3 Sanitary Sewer System Improvements Project. There's a public hearing attached to this as well. The Garden and Associates has prepared the plans and specs for Division 1 of the Phase 3 Sanitary Sewer Improvements Project. This project is the third phase of the plan of action that was submitted to the Iowa Department of Natural Resources in February of 2015 as a result of a notice of violation, which was dated September 29th of 2014, for bypassing raw sewage from portions of the collection system and at the wastewater treatment plants. Scope of the work for this project is a combination of multiple sewer projects, including the reconstruction of sanitary sewer pipes and manholes in various locations throughout the city. The base bid for the project includes 2,457 linear feet of sewer pipe reconstruction and reconstruction of 19 manholes located near F Avenue and E Avenue between Market and E Street. The preliminary engineering cost estimate for the base bid, $1,373,778, and there are two more bid alternates with cost estimates of $380,365 and $174,395 that will be in addition to the base bid. Base bid for this project has an estimated start date of October 21 of 2019, total of 140 working days, and additional working days are allotted for the bid alternates. So I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to speak to this? Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Do we have a motion supporting this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on it? Roll call, please.
Calgery,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Addison,
Yes.
Walling,
Yes.
Yates,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Item D is to consider a resolution rejecting a bid for Division 1 of the Phase 3 Sanitary Sewer System Improvements Project. So Division 1 of the Phase 3 Sanitary Sewer Improvements Project, it was advertised, bids received and publicly read on September 23rd of 2019. Base bid for the project, as mentioned before, in the description, was $1,373,778. One sealed bid was received from J&K Contracting. Base bid from J&K was for $2,016,414, which is $642,636, which is 46.8% higher than the engineer's estimate. And since it exceeds the budget amount, of course, the engineering consultant for the project, Garden and Associates, reviewed the bid and is recommended to reject the bid from J&K Contracting and rebid at a future date. So if the project would be awarded, construction would start on October 21st, total of 140 working days, and there would be probably also an additional $100,000 as a construction contingency. Do we have a motion supporting the resolution to reject the bid?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on it?
Yes, just a question. You know, this is part of a plan to address issues that the DNR brought forward. Are we running up against any timeline if we reject this? to still meet what we were supposed to do for them?
So according to the project staff, the DNR is being informed of what's happening. Obviously, they're waiting for council's action tonight to relay the information. As it stands today, that the construction window, the authorization window was a pretty wide one for this project. And so I don't know that we're necessarily going to see any issues if we rebid it. We're still going to have it open and ready to go for the same period of time. So it might be a better time for us to receive bids. Hopefully the contractors are clearing out their schedules and then starting to think about the next year's work. What we're hearing is the same story as we have before. This work is a little bit more difficult than the work that are being presented in other places like subdivisions where there's not a whole lot of conflict or risk. Something like this is a little more complicated, and so I think there's less interest in working on a project like this in general when they can go do something easier. That's a long answer to your question, but the idea is, yes, they're informed of what's happening. I think it'd be a poor decision on our behalf to move forward with a project that essentially is well beyond the original engineer's estimate. I mean, the initial estimate was high. That was added to again, and we couldn't even get the base bid, let alone the 3 alternates that we need. So what we're doing is we're sliding the projects out, and that's going to be communicated to the DNR. And again, as long as they know in advance, what I've been told is they're okay with those things. I'm looking to our engineers in the audience and get a head nod. Hopefully that's good. Keelish, you've had more direct conversations with them.
We have given a plan of action to the DNR at one time, and the plan of action is a plan. Now, DNR has always been in agreement that as long as we finish the plan, they are fine with this. Now, time frame, we have notified that we are with the budget, and with the budget being growing every day, with the cost estimates growing every day, we are told that we may take longer, and they are fine with that process.
Thank you.
And I think, again, it goes back to not only just the timing, but when you look at what our rates are comparatively to other places in the state, we're pretty high. And I think that's something that we continue to go back to the DNR and say, look, can we have a little bit of grace on this? And I think they've been receptive to that, but we have to make sure that they're aware of that well in advance. We can't just not do the projects. I mean, we're committing to them. You as council have authorized borrowing through SRF, the state revolving fund. So it's not like we're just ignoring what the plan was. We're trying to actively get it done, and I think that's why they're okay with us pushing these off a little bit more.
Isn't this the second one we've had? We delayed another one because of one bid, and it's still out there, right?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
What's the projected timing for rebidding it?
Sometime in January, February. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Keelish. Any other comments or questions? I think we got a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Drost,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Addison,
Yes.
Walling,
Yes.
Yates,
Yes.
Calgery,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Item E, consider a resolution approving amendment number 1 to the agreement with the SVPA Architects on April 15th of 2019. City Council approved resolution number 19-04-60, entering into a professional services agreement with SVPA Architects for the purpose of designing the Early Childhood Education and Recreation Center project. The project at that time was estimated to include 60,000 square foot building, had a construction budget of $16,345,000, and SVPA's design fee was based on 6.79% of the construction cost, total of $1,110,000. On August 16th of 2019, City Council approved resolution number 19-07-125. It's a resolution approving the project schematic design documents. The project itself has experienced an increase in scope, changing the building footprint to 88,250 square feet, with a total construction cost now of $26,659,250. The increase to the estimated construction cost for the building has a direct impact on the design fees that are being charged by SVPA. As previously noted, SVPA's design fee is calculated at a rate of 6.79% of the project's estimated construction cost and accordingly, fee amendment number 1 to the previously approved agreement has been presented by SVPA in the amount of $700,000, bringing the total design contract to $1,810,000. The project schedule, we get asked this from time to time. So the schematic design had to be done by August 29th. It was. Design development documents completed by November 7th of 2019. Construction document complete by February 11 of 2020. And then accept project bids and award them on March of 2020. And then the construction phase starts in April of 2020 and then finishes up in September of 2021. So staff is recommending we approve the amendment to the agreement with SVPA as presented. Do we have a motion to that effect?
So moved. Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
I assume you all know where this extra money's coming from, do you? Or are you wondering, or do you already know?
No, I'm wondering.
Well, it'd be a good time,
Okay. Mike, do you care to?
So for this particular item, I did talk to the school district about how they'd like to process the bills. And I'll get to Councilmember Walling's point, I guess, in a minute. But just from the standpoint of the district is in for the $6.5 million, and we're in for the maximum amount that we can through 7.5. I can never get their number right. It's a mental block.
What is it, Doug?
It is 7.5. Before I said 7.65, so I'm all over the board. $7.5 million. And then we're in for the maximum allocation of 75% through the local option sales tax. So we've been collecting that sales tax, and as invoices come in, we've been paying them. But then we've also, because of the 2080 agreement, have been invoicing the district. So it's 63 to 37%. So 63% is the city, 37% is the school district. And so with this change order, we'll continue to do that. And the additional costs will come from that, essentially taking the school district 7.5 down and using our local option sales tax. Okay, that's great. That gets us to 1 point. But ultimately, when it comes time to construct the project, as discussed at the last meeting, there will need to be fundraising and donor cash that would offset the additional scope. And again, that's that community fundraising component and the donor, securing donors and grants. So that's the expectation. So we'll use the city, we'll use the school district money, we will use grant money, we will use donor money, and we will use community contributions through fundraising.
What kind of grants can you apply for a project like this?
So it'd be Vision Iowa, which used to be the CAT grant, Community Action and Tourism. So the YMCA is working on that. There's a committee, it's headed by the YMCA. So they're working on that application. The Daily Trust would be another location. Pella Roll Screen is another. We can certainly seek MCCF, the Mahaska Community County Foundation, but that's a lower dollar amount. So we're trying to pick off a few of the larger ones, and then potentially there could be a RISE grant through the Iowa DOT. We're still weighing that possibility.
Other comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Moore,
Yes.
Coniston,
Yes.
Walling,
Yes.
Yates,
Yes.
Calgery,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes. Okay, that passes. Item F is to consider a resolution approving an consider a resolution approving and authorizing execution of an infrastructure reimbursement agreement with the Oskaloosa Municipal Water Department, approving a transfer of funds, and approving an advance of funds, and directing the filing of a related certification under Iowa Code Section 403.19. So what's going on here? The Oskaloosa Municipal Water Department retained the services of Garden and Associates to complete the design of the water system improvements at South H Street, South M Street, and 11th Avenue West. The improvements will service a planned housing development, a current industrial expansion, as well as upgrade the existing main within a system that was undersized to accommodate growth. As discussed by the Water Board on May 13th and on September 9th, this project is a unique opportunity to partner with the Water Department, the city, and with Musco. The existing water system flows in the area designed for improvements don't have sufficient flow to meet fire suppression needs of Musco's MSO expansion project. As a result, Musco would be required to install a new fire suppression tank and pump in the amount of $170,000. Rather than constructing that system just for their own building, Musco has agreed to partner with the water department and the city to contribute those funds to a broader system improvement in the area. So the water board agreed with this proposal and worked with city representatives to identify the means to bridge the gap between the water department funds in the amount of $245,000 and Musco funds in the amount of $170,000 to complete the needed infrastructure improvements. Estimated project cost for all of the improvements is estimated at $600,000. City staff is recommending the city council approve a reimbursement agreement between the city and the water department to help facilitate the important economic development and the infrastructure project. The reimbursement agreement outlines that the city will front the water department up to $185,000 to complete the project. The city's money will be last in, and the water department will reimburse the city one half of the funds actually contributed by the city, not to exceed $92,500 over a 3 to 5 year period of time. The 3 to 5 year time frame allows the water department an opportunity to absorb the costs of the project into their budget in a more manageable manner, and the water department can always repay the city sooner if adjustment to their capital plan is made accordingly during their annual budget process. It's a lot there. Do we have a motion to support?
Moved.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
That includes that housing development area somebody's putting up, right?
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other comments or questions?
Only comment I'd have, if you've ever seen a building that had to have one of these tanks put in, the one that comes to mind is the Walmart south of Centerville had to do it. They didn't have enough water. And that's probably the first time I ran into it. And it's like, okay, is this really a good way to fight a fire? But I don't, you know, I mean, it's acceptable, but I just sharing what I know.
Hearing no further comments, roll call, please.
Addison,
Yes.
Walling,
Yes.
Yates,
Yes.
Calgery,
Yes.
Drost,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Item G, this is to consider a resolution amending the City of Oskaloosa fee schedule for the purpose of implementing some new fire department user fees. Why don't we start with Chief Neff providing a presentation on the action requested?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Excuse me. So, this fire department user fee proposal went to Public Safety Committee a few weeks ago. We had a meeting and discussed this entire presentation. They had some questions that come out of that meeting that we've addressed. And at that point, they decided they wanted to bring it to full council. So here I am this evening to give you this presentation. Why a fire department user fee? So currently, the way staff looks at this is tax revenues utilized to purchase, repair, maintain equipment, used for our training, payroll purposes, and then any other operational costs that the department incurs. That being said, that allows us to respond to structured fires and any other emergencies that may come across to us. It's a belief that once these services are rendered, that the end user should pay some sort of a nominal fee for those as a way to recoup some of our costs. Quite frankly, it's part of doing business. That's where this user fee term came into play. Some other examples for this is ambulance service. If you call and have an ambulance respond to your residence, or you yourself or somebody that you know, you pay taxes for that ambulance service already, but when they respond, you're also going to get a bill submitted to you for that service if you take that ride in that ambulance. Another example would be swimming pools. We have the public swimming pool out there, tax dollars paid to maintain that, keep it operational, pay the staff, but everybody pays to go swimming in order to try to recover costs. So moving on, we did some research with some local insurance. This was not all encompassing. We didn't call every insurance provider in Oskaloosa, obviously, but the vast majority all show on their policy, on the homeowner's policy, they allow up to a $500 fee to be charged. Simply submit an invoice to them. They turn that in to their insurance company. The insurance company pays that fee. On the commercial side, we've seen $1,000 seems to be the typical number that they would allow on commercial or industrial fires to be charged. When will we invoice these fees? So it's not every time we roll out the door. We're not looking to try to charge somebody every time we turn the wheels on an apparatus. At any structure, vehicle, or grass fire that met the definition of each type of fire. So what we've done is specifically defined these types of fires that we're actually wanting to charge this user fee for. We're also looking at a separate part of this. I might have got my slides mixed up here. But there's also an inspection side of this component. I think I got my slides mixed up here, but we'll talk about that here in just a minute. But the structure fire fee side of it is for vehicles, structures, and grass fire. We'd like to use FEMA resource typing rates. These are rates that FEMA sets out for government entities to utilize that we can charge, and those would be up to a maximum amount. We'd like to charge government and religious organizations. A lot of times these are bigger facilities within our community. They actually pay no taxes per se. They're owned by the general public. These again would be a FEMA resource typing fee up to $1,000. Again, we're capping that. We're not going to try to go out and try to get a huge exorbitant amount of money. But again, these maximum rates within that resolution are going to be set. So you folks are going to tell us what we're going to be allowed to charge. We're not going to be able to go out and just decide on our own. This will all be set by resolution. Another area that we'd like to look at is service to areas outside of our response district. This in no way changes any of our 2080 mutual aid agreements. If New Sharon's asking for help, we're going to go help them. There's going to be no charge. Conversely, if they come here, what we're suggesting is when the Oskaloosa Fire Department responds to an area that's outside of our jurisdiction and there's no help there at all from the responding agency, we'll use New Sharon as an example. If we have a fire in New Sharon and they don't respond and we have to go by ourselves and finish it, we would ask that we could charge that rate as well, that same capped amount. Again, that's only if they don't come and assist. So the next slide is our resource typing fees, and I'll just touch on these real quickly. You think about the cost of some of this apparatus, and they're really not that high per hour. And I was really kind of shocked at some of these. So our fire command vehicle, that's our Tahoe, that's $19 an hour. Half-ton pickup that we utilize for getting staff there and hauling equipment back and forth, $12.30 an hour. A brush truck, $22.85 per hour. Water tender, which we would utilize to haul water out in the country, $28.70. One of our larger fire trucks engine 74, 75, or 77 is $72.25 per hour, and then the aerial is $100 per hour. Personnel rates, typically those will be an hourly pay plus benefits. Within this calculations that I'll show you here in just a little bit, we used about a $37 per hour rate. We think that's close for rates, personnel rates. So that's what we'd be looking at for charter fees based upon that. We are looking at 3 distinct fees. One being the structure fire fee, the other being the vehicle and grass fires, and then finally safety inspections. The safety inspections, we'll get into that here in just a few minutes, but the structure fire definition, I'm not gonna read this thing to you. I'm sure you've all read it. All 3 of these fire definitions are basically the same. If we go to respond to that house and we have to pull a hose line, hold all of our people there and extinguish the fire, that's a structure fire. Okay? If we go to your place of residence and you just had a little pan on the stove and we're able to take it outside, that's not considered a structure fire. That would not be considered a fee. Okay? Vehicle fires. We broke those into 2 different definitions. One's a passenger vehicle. Passenger vehicle is essentially the same as a structure fire. We go there, we have to stretch a hose line, we have to keep personnel there, extinguish that. The passenger vehicle fire, again, we don't receive any tax dollars for passenger vehicles per se, but it does cost us time and equipment to go extinguish those. The second side of this, and those passenger vehicle fire fees are, we'll talk about those when we get into the fees here in a little bit. They're $300. Commercial vehicle, this is a whole different animal. When you talk about semis running up and down the road, we got a lot of product, we got a lot of fire load within those. Again, those, if we have to pull that hose line, expend personnel, and spend time out there, those commercial vehicle fees, we'd like to see up to $2,500. They can get into quite a bit of time for us out there with the resources that we have. And those commercial vehicles would be defined by US DOT. Okay, so that's what if they're running under a US DOT carrier, whether it's UPS, FedEx, Joe's Trucking, that's how we're gonna define that commercial vehicle. Okay? So, a previous council question was, whether any other cities in Iowa were doing this. We brought this to you folks before, and this was one of the questions that came about. There are other cities within Iowa doing this. Centerville, Hampton, Lamar's. There's other cities that are doing bits and pieces of these components. We use Lamar's as a comparable. It's relatively close to our same size. As you'll see in the next slide here, we did not go as high as what Lamar's did. We stayed under their rates. We felt that those rates that we put forward would be a good starting point. Not trying to, again, not trying to make a huge amount of money here, but just offset some costs. So here's our estimated, excuse me, here's our estimated revenue for the past 4 years, 5 years. As you can see, our numbers for residential house fires stay pretty consistent. They stay pretty consistent. In 2015, currently we charge no fees for any of this. Okay, so we're having zero income from any of this. In 2015, we had 15 residential fires. If we charged the $500, that would have brought us in $7,500. We had one commercial fire that year at $1,000. That would have generated us $8,500. Lamar's, who has this fee in place, their total fees would have been $7,500 and $5,000 combined to a $12,500 figure. So again, we've stayed just about at 50% of what Lamar's runs on these. They charge up to $1,000 on residential and up to $5,000 on commercial industrial. As you go down on through there, you can see in 2018, we had 12 residential fires and 3 commercials. Again, that's $9,000 that would have brought in to our city budget. Conversely, if we'd have been running the Lamar's fees, we'd have been about $21,000. So there is a substantial difference when you, the commercial fires is where you start really seeing the big difference in dollars. So the next slide kind of shows us, this come out of, this was one of the questions that came out of our Public Safety Committee, is how much does it typically, cost us to do a house fire? What I pulled here was a very small residential house fire on South 4th. As you can see, we were on scene about an hour and a half. We had the half-ton pickup, we had a command vehicle, we had 2 fire engines, 5 full-time staff, 7 reserve staff. Fuel, investigations, and reporting, all that combined come up to $927. So it's not just necessarily the time we spend on scene, but when we come back, we have to refit all the equipment, we have to get everything back in shape. So again, that's a pretty small call right there. As you can see, that $500 fee that we would charge gets some of the cost back for us. We all know that money's getting harder and harder to come by at budget time. Jumping into the vehicle and grass fire fees, grass fires can vary quite a bit. Typically, we have about 9 per year, so there's about $2,700. Passenger vehicle fires, about 7 of those, so there's $2,100 there. Again, those numbers really don't run as consistent. It doesn't seem like as the structure fires because you get wet weather. It's the nature of the beast, I guess. But those were over the same 5-year span is where we got those numbers. Am I going too fast? Have you developed any questions yet that you want to address before we?
We've talked about this, but I'm not sure I remember it right. But if there's a township call, and then they are assigned to a fire station, is that correct?
Correct.
Like say Watch here.
Okay. So as an example, so what you're saying is a particular township has to either contract or have their own fire service within their area. So as an example, the city of Fremont contracts with Cedar Township Fire Department to provide them fire protection. Conversely, Lincoln Township contracts with the city of Oskaloosa to have fire protection. So, as an example, Watch Here covers Rose Hill area, okay? But again, we mutual aid with all of them. Now, I don't know.
Well, okay, I understand mutual aid part.
Okay.
We're all gonna help everybody
Yep.
if we need it. But, okay, so you get the call, and it's a 2-part question, because how does 911 decide who to call?
It's based off of the response districts. 911 center knows in their CAD system where that address is and what fire district that is responsible for that.
Okay,
area.
would the Watch Here area, would they automatically go to Watch Here? Or are they automatically gonna come here because we've got the best facility?
Well, currently they would go to Watch Here. Yes, the call will always go to them first.
Okay,
If they don't
turn it
respond,
down, if they don't go, then we charge. If they go, then it's mutual aid.
correct,
Thank you.
correct. Okay, we'll move into the safety inspections a little bit. So the first column here is inspections that we currently perform at no charge. We've just always done this since I've been here. We go out annually and inspect licensed daycares. This is not in-home daycare. This is your little bit larger facilities. It is required by the state that those be inspected. Again, they fall back, let the local authorities have in jurisdiction to do those inspections. Quite honestly, if we don't do them, they're not going to get done. The state doesn't have the inspectors to go out and get those, all of those completed. We do liquor license inspections. We go out and make sure that now this is for on-premise consumption, okay? We don't inspect the Casey's or the local convenience stores, but this is for on-premise consumption. And then we have re-inspections of the above. So if anybody doesn't pass, we have to go back and check them. At times, we can go back a couple times. Usually by the second time, they've got everything pretty well squared away. But so currently, those are done at no charge. Some inspections that are not performed right now, but we are proposing, is healthcare facilities, excluding the hospital. These are some areas that we feel as staff that should be looked at. We're talking about nursing homes, adult daycares, group homes, assisted livings. These are also supposed to be inspected by the state. However, again, with state staffing, sometimes this gets a little bit, it might be 2 years before they get around to them. Sometimes with staffing, we've been out and done public safety education events with them, and we'll do a quick walkthrough with the folks and notice things that just kind of give them some guidance. But we'd like to start implementing these on a regular basis, just simply for the safety of our people that are in those homes.
Quick question on that, Chief. I want to make sure I heard you right. Are those all inspections that are mandated now by the state and just aren't being achieved, all the ones you're proposing?
The ones that we're proposing, yes, that like the nursing homes and the group homes and stuff, they're supposed to be inspected by the state. Again, please don't think I'm trying to throw the state under the bus here in any way, shape, or form.
No, my point was just, it wouldn't be quote unquote us forcing our way into these. They're
That is
supposed to be
correct.
done. Okay,
That
that's
is
what I was-
correct.
all right.
It's much like the fireworks inspection stuff that we do for the state now. We want to work in partnership with them. We want to try to make these places safer for everybody that's there and being housed there. Again, those facilities are high risk. The people living there usually aren't very ambulatory. We're showing up probably. If we get a call like that, we're going to be behind the 8 ball right off the bat. If we know the place has been inspected, we can get some of these things corrected before we have a problem. We want to be proactive about it.
If you were to do those inspections, does that take the place of the state inspection then?
Not
Or
necessarily,
would
but
they
again, we can
potentially
work in
get double?
partnership with them. Again, just like the daycare, we send all of our forms to the state. They know that one's been done, and then that frees up some places for, quite honestly, for folks that smaller communities that may not have the luxury of having staff that can go and perform those.
Some of those facilities have a command center inside them, the command firefighting center that's in these buildings. Is that done inspected by the fire department, or is that a contract?
You're talking about the fire alarm system?
Yeah.
That's all done by outside.
Okay.
But we make sure that inspection has been done.
Okay.
So the question was there, the fire alarm system, the sprinkler system, we're gonna go in and make sure that has been done. We're not gonna be inspecting that. Is that clear to everybody? We'll make sure that inspection has been done. If it's not, we'll get that ordered and a company will come in and do those. The group homes is one that's a little bit unique. These group homes can be set up in basically a residential structure. They can have very, very little, if any, other than just smoke detectors installed. So those are some that that we really feel should be at least looked at, you know, on a regular basis. Again, the clientele, we want to make sure that they're protected, along with the staff that works there. My daughter worked at one when she was just out of high school. I don't know that they get a lot of emergency training per se. If we can help them with that type of stuff when we're there as well, that's what we'd be trying to do.
So is the annual estimate the total for our town? Like, okay, group home, $75 per inspection, but you got the 225. I'm trying to figure out where the 225.
That's how many we have in our community.
Okay, so it's times what we have.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. So onto this estimated revenue, this is what what we're recommending. So healthcare facilities, that's $250 per bed. We've done our numbers, that would be annually about $685 per year. Assisted living, same numbers, we can run right down those, run right down that list. Re-inspections, we never know on those. Those could be, it's gonna be a minimal amount, I would guess. Probably less than $250. Hopefully they get better as we go along. That's the intent, kind of like the rental inspection. As we get going, they're going to be knowing what we're looking for. So off the safety inspections, again, not a huge amount of money that we're looking to collect here, about $2,600. But if we're able to go out and get those done and make the community safer for those places, we'd like to see that accomplished. So, wrapping things up here, our recommendations are residential structured fire fees up to $500. Commercial industrial fires up to $1,000. Grass fires up to $300. Passenger vehicle fires up to $300. Commercial vehicle fires up to $2,500. Use FEMA resource typing fee for any government structures or religious facilities. And then down the other column, the healthcare facilities, as you can see listed out there. The final slide brings us to if all the user fee recommendations presented are adopted. Safety inspections, $2,600. Fires on the average is going to be about $7,900. That gives us roughly $10,500 of revenue generated per year. That's not a ton of money, but that will help offset vehicle operations and some vehicle repair costs. I'm not saying you guys don't give us money to get stuff fixed. It's just, it can help us, help offset some of the money that you have to come up with in the budget.
If the nursing homes are inspected by the state, I don't think the state charges them for that. It's a mandatory, they have to do it, doesn't it?
Yes, they do not, yes, they have to do it, but it's like the schools. They have to do the schools, but they don't charge them a fee.
Okay, so if we're gonna do them again, I understand the partnership, but there's gotta be some push there.
What,
Looks
and there
like
may
government
be,
doing it twice.
I've been in contact with some of the inspectors at State Fire Marshal's Office, and they're just not able to get around to every one of them. My thought would be if they've had one done by the state that year, maybe we can back that one out and go help them somewhere else. But I know that they are constantly looking for partnerships to work with the State Fire Marshal's Office. We work with them on the high school. We work with them in they're now paying us to do the inspections on
So
them.
if there's a written partnership and we can say, okay, you aren't gonna get hit twice, you know, that will look a lot better and sets with me better.
Well, yeah, if they've been inspected already, it doesn't make sense to go back in the same year and do it again.
That could definitely be something we can I mean, again, I've talked to them some, I know that, again, they're short-staffed and are always welcoming.
When you get up there.
Huh?
That's right.
So you mentioned the schools and doing those. You're saying that the state wouldn't charge the schools, but if we do it for the state pays us?
Well, I hesitate to say that right now, Councilor Yates. We go out, again, there's just so many schools and inspections to be done. They just don't have the staffing to get them all done.
Okay.
So, that being said, they'll call us once in a while and have us go out and walk through with them just to speed the process up, so they can, and we don't charge them for that,
Okay.
and they don't charge either.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's understood.
Multiple bodies can cover the area quicker than one person covering the entire campus.
So is it fair to say then that because the state is shorthanded and can't get out to all the facilities, that it is possible that a nursing home might go a couple of years or even 3 years and not have an inspection if we don't offer this service?
It could be possible. You know, again, they're trying to hit they've got hospitals and high schools are gonna be their two probably top priorities, and then it's gonna break down from there. Again, I'd hesitate to say I would think they'd get to them within 2 years. I don't think they'd go past that. I really just don't see it.
Okay.
But there are a lot of nursing homes in the state of Iowa. You think about how many is just in one community and trying to get out and get those all done.
Other questions for Mark?
It's more of a question for maybe Michael. If we look at it from a taxation standpoint, is everything that we do for the fire department, is that all part of the 810 levy, the general fund?
Yes.
So it's not a matter of saying, okay, raising it to raise this 10.5. I mean, that option doesn't present itself because we're maxed out with the 810, are we not?
Correct, we're maxed out. In fact, we're actually taking additional revenue from franchise fees to pay for equipment. And so we're trying to move, we can't raise taxes any higher, but we're diverting funds that would otherwise be allocated for infrastructure to pay for things like the fire department would need, such as equipment. So it's the 810 limit plus franchise fees.
Are we maxed out on the franchise fees?
No.
So, to that point, another option would be to generate this would be, for instance, to look at it that way.
You could.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's a valid point. I mean, as far as what we as a city can do to generate additional revenue, we're extremely limited. Most of our property tax levies are maxed out from the general operations side. As we've talked about during the budget meetings, that leaves franchise fees, which are currently at 3% for residential, 1.5% for industrial, and 3% for commercial residential. So we could go up to 5% for each of those categories. That's outside of that, there really are no other operating revenue sources for us as a city when it comes to general fund expenses.
And from a general sense, I like that not taxing everybody when there's specific users, so I'm okay with that, I guess. But when you look at the dollar amount of 10,500 in the scheme of things, is there going to be administrative costs, headaches, all of those things that need to be taken care of to do the invoicing, the collections, all of that? Again, I like that we're getting the fees from the user of the service, but at the same token, do we create a bigger headache that maybe we should look at it somewhere else? I mean, we got a pretty large budget overall, and 10,500 is not.
I can think of
I'm not trying to minimize
one office
it,
that would be
but-
very excited about raising the revenue a different way or addressing it a different way. Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I think there's a concern that if you don't ever enact something, some type of user fee, you'll never actually charge those users for their specific service. So I think Mark was trying to present of, hey, we're just trying to get our foot in the door with the the half of the fees that other places are charging. That's not to suggest that we would come back every year and increase them, but it is difficult to get fees in place as it is. We talked about this, I think, 9 years, maybe even 10 years ago, and there was quite a bit of pushback. We're spending more time on this, $10,500, and sometimes we do on much bigger items. So it's a fair point, Councilmember Yates. It does create additional headaches.
I think the man hours and the apparatus, the first part of your presentation is long overdue. The second part, I got to look at that a little harder. 'Cause if it's just gonna be a money grab, I mean, if we're doing it, okay, that means we have to do it. And then if we're busy, what do? We'll be like the state. That's the same problem. They're supposed to inspect boilers every year, but they don't get it done, and they know that, and they try to do the best they can. But that's my 2 cents.
So I want to make sure I understood what you're okay with the.
You never understand.
Well, the fire fees is okay. It's
Yes,
the
sir. Yeah.
Inspections that. Okay.
On these cases, because Chief's helped me with this for a long time. There's times, and it's not a lot of times, that they call us because we got the big red trucks, and there's another way to go. And we don't get anything for it because the state's got these rules that you get hardly anything for it. Am I saying that right, Michael? Yeah. So this just helps us, okay, it would help them to think about now, do you really need us or don't you? And we want to help. I mean, and like you said, mutual aid, this is, you have a fire like we've had, everybody shows up. And that's the way we all want it.
I think I agree with Tom that if we're going to enact the fees for services that we're already providing and that are typically covered by an insurance claim and those, I don't have an issue with those. I would struggle tonight to enact the inspection fees for things that we're not currently doing without considering that a little more.
So I wanted to clarify something that you had said, Chief, that we do these inspections now at the request of these facilities from time to time?
So the ones that we do currently are the daycare, licensed daycare. We
Okay.
do those for the state.
Okay.
Flat out. We do those for the state. We send the paperwork to them. Those are covered by us. So we do those
Already.
already.
No
No
reimbursement.
And no reimbursement?
No reimbursement.
So, okay.
The second one, the other ones that we do is the liquor license inspections. We do that as a local ordinance here to make sure that those facilities are safe for the general public when they go in and do business at that particular establishment. So those 2 things we do now currently and have done them for 20 years.
So for the liquor, we don't charge for that.
We do not charge for the
And then
liquor
for the-
license.
In the
We
state,
do not charge for any re-inspections, and some of those we do have to go back a couple times on.
We used to do churches, didn't we?
That, if we did, that was before my time.
Okay.
I'm not saying we didn't, but that was before my time.
Churches.
We'll still do any safety, we still do business safety inspections. We'll still go out and make calls on the safety inspection, we do those no charge.
On a request.
Yes, on a request. But those 2, the licensed daycare and the liquor license are 2 that we do currently do. Annually.
And the others, we would not be enacting any requirement that the healthcare facilities, assisted living group homes, that they would have any requirement to be inspected locally. But if they called on us to help meet the state mandate, then we would apply a fee, correct?
Yes, you could look at it that way.
oh, yeah.
I mean,
Just
that hadn't really come through that way. That typically, we were just, as this was presented tonight, we were gonna just make contact with those places and set up those see when their last state inspection was and proceed from there. Had this, if this is approved, be after the first year when this would all take effect. I think if we get into that mixed bag of trees with if the state calls and wants help, we're gonna get into it. I think we're gonna get jammed up. I think we need to take it all, or as far as that new stuff, break it into those groups like we talked about. If you're good with the fire user fees, okay. Or if you're good with what we currently do and you want to enact those pieces of that pie, but I don't think we better try to get intermixing. I just think that's gonna cause a problem for our staff.
Other questions for the chief?
Where's the revenue go? General fund?
General fund.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, chief. Thank you, chief. So, the agenda item is one where we consider a resolution amending the fee schedule for the purpose of implementing the fire department user fees. We've talked about inspection fees, we've talked about fire service fees. The chief has thrown the idea out of splitting the two. So I guess I'll open the floor for a motion.
I move we split them before we vote.
Okay.
Move what?
Well,
I'd second that, splitting the fire from the
Yes.
inspection.
Okay.
I'd second that.
Okay, I don't think we need to vote on splitting them as much as, I'll take that as, under Robert's rules, that's what we're gonna do.
Okay.
But the item says, it just reads department fire fees, nothing about inspections and things. So it's really kind of split already, isn't it?
Proposed resolution
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
So, yeah, so Mayor and Council, if you look at the resolution that's attached, it's broken into fire response fees as one
Oh, there it is.
category and inspection fees as the second set of categories.
Okay.
okay. So why don't we'll take them one at a time. Do we have a motion in support of the fire inspection, or, excuse me, of the, of the fire response fees?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on that? Roll call, please.
Walling,
Yes.
Yates,
Yes.
Bellinger,
Yes.
Dross,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Addison.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Now let's address the inspection fees. Do we have a motion supporting the inspection fees?
And that would be that we would charge for the inspections we're currently doing.
Right.
The bars and the daycares and
That's all we're doing now.
and that if called on and we inspect the others, that we would charge. Is that all it is?
That's correct.
Okay, I'll move for that.
Okay,
Second.
okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that?
I'll make sure I understand the
Yeah.
motion again. I couldn't quite hear
Okay.
it.
So what Scotty is saying is that for all the inspections we currently do anyway, now we would charge a fee for doing those. But if we were called, asked by, say, the state, please go do this, then there would be a fee attached to that as well.
And in other words, Doug, these that we're already doing, we're gonna charge. And then if the state says, well, you go out and inspect us as a nursing home, and we would say yes, and charge
Question.
these funds.
I guess I,
But I think that would be the problem.
yeah, that was the area that the chief said we didn't want to
Right.
get into, if I understood you correctly.
Yes, that's correct. I'm all for trying to charge what we already do for those fees, but I think if we get into that, I think the problem's gonna be if the state calls and says, hey, we can't get this done, can you go charge for it? Then we're gonna be, I just think it's gonna create confusion for the staff on our part.
Question. The
Really
two we're
do.
doing now, we do for free. Why do we do that?
Because there's never been a fee applied to it.
Oh, well, why do we go?
Because the state requires those.
They called us up and said, will you
They-
go? That's what I'm
yes.
trying to get
Yes,
to.
they cannot get to all those, so we do those for the state.
Okay.
For the state of Iowa, for fire marshal, for the Department of Human Health and Human Services.
You weren't pulling the list and we're just going out there because
That is
we want
correct.
to right now.
They have to have that piece of paper from us before they can get their stamp from the state.
They use it up on the wall.
Yeah, yes, has to be posted.
But if the state can't do it, are you required, if the state calls you to do an inspection, are you required, is the Oski Fire Department required to go do that, or could you say no? And is it, if the state's, and this gets probably too deep, but if the state is requiring the inspection and they're asking us to go do it because they don't have time,
No.
who should we be charging for that? Should we be charging the state, because the state's the one who typically does it?
That's the way you and I do it.
Yes, right.
Because this is the odd thing is the state doesn't charge and then we have to help them out and then we're gonna charge.
I don't know what daycares cost anymore. I haven't had daycare for years, but it's $25. You know, I don't think it's an exorbitant amount, but, that's up to you folks to decide. We're gonna go do them. If the state calls and asks us, to answer your question, Bob, the state calls us, we don't have to go do them, but we're gonna go do them. Because I'm not gonna be responsible if something happens tomorrow, and the state says, why didn't you go look at that? We're gonna go do them, whether we charge for them or not. We have been. Again, we're just trying to be proactive and maybe try to offset some costs somewhere.
Okay. So does that help everyone's understanding?
Helps my understanding. Does the motion remain as it is?
That we would charge for the ones we're currently doing?
Only? Or is it the ones when we get called by the state? I want to make sure I understand.
You know, I'm very confused because I think Mark said he didn't want them.
Right.
So I think probably the direction you're going then is to not go after the ones that the state tells us to do.
Yeah, just forget those.
Okay.
Let them burn up. That'll get you.
There's tomorrow's quote in the paper.
Be sure to spell my name right.
Jeez. Okay.
Amending the motion then?
Well, in essence, enhancing the understanding of it.
Okay.
But with your second, is that okay with you? Yep, okay.
No.
Somebody read the motion.
I was about that.
Better read.
You got it down yet, Amy? Because I don't.
I assume we're approving it as it was written in the resolution, but it's under the inspection fees portion.
Right. And so,
No, that's
So-
not.
That's
so-
not it. We are gonna charge for the
Mayor,
ones
council,
we're currently doing.
So it'd be a motion approving the resolution, striking from the inspection fee section of the resolution, healthcare facilities, assisted living, group homes, those three
That's why I don't
items.
leave the license
Everything else
there.
would be
okay.
as presented. That's how I see it.
Yeah, the daycare and the liquor.
I still want to vote on separately. I'm gonna vote no on the second part.
On which inspections?
Inspections.
Okay. Okay.
Okay,
So that's why I asked, we should vote on separately.
okay.
Fire response and inspection fee.
So then if that's the case and you wanted to look at them separately, then it'd be the motion to approve the inspection fees to include licensed daycare, liquor license, and re-inspections.
Does that work for the motion?
Yes,
Okay?
just the ones we're doing already.
Yep, that works. Okay? Any further comments? Roll call, please.
Yates,
No.
Calgery,
Yes.
Drost,
No.
Moore,
Yes,
Odison,
Yes,
Are
Walling,
we voting it on all at once?
No.
Inspection fee.
We're doing inspections first?
Yeah, we voted on the fire.
other,
we already,
and it passed.
Huh?
We already,
We already voted.
We already did the fire response part. This is only inspections.
Okay, no. Thank you.
Okay.
Failed.
I'm getting a 3-3, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
So we're tied. That'll go on to the next meeting. Okay. Item H.
Did we already have a work session on this, or
We had,
who was on the
Are you sure?
committee?
we met twice. Joe,
three of us.
Diane, and myself.
And did you come with a recommendation?
Pardon me?
Did you come with a recommendation?
Yeah, I did.
Basically
Okay,
this.
I just checked.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, item H. Let's consider a resolution accepting the substantial completion of Division 1 of the Phase 2 Sanitary Sewer System Improvements Project by TK Concrete and approving the partial release of the retainage amount. TK completed Division 1 of the Phase 2 Sanitary Sewer System Improvements Project that involves sanitary sewer replacement in various locations. First one being at north of J Avenue East and east of North 3rd Street. The next one was across A Avenue West, east of Highway 432. The third one was across 9th Avenue East between 15th Street and 16th Street. And the fourth one was C Avenue West between North I Street and North G Street. Project has been inspected by Garden and Associates, construction work found to be acceptable. The final contract amount of the project, $932,422.90, after a net increase of $33,136.90, which was 3.7%, from the original contract amount, which was $899,286. That was awarded at the April 16th, 2018 council meeting, and the total construction cost in the amount of $932,422.90 included a 5% retainage for an amount of $46,621.15. Although the contractor has completed the construction work, they have damaged the chip seal street surface on North 4th Street between J Avenue and K Avenue, which is an area outside of the scope of work. TK Concrete proposed to repair the damaged street surface in the spring of 2020, and as a result, the retainage amount has been reduced from 5% to 0.5% of the contract amount, taking it from $46,621.15 to $4,617.60. The amount withheld for retainage is 200% of the value of the repairs to be completed, and this reduction in retainage is in accordance with Section 26.13 of the Iowa Code. So with City Council approval, the project will be accepted as substantially complete. Approval of the substantial completion of the project activates the warranties and authorizes the partial release of the retainage, leaving the amount of $42,003.55 to the contractor 30 days after project acceptance, if no claims are filed against the project, that is. The remaining retainage, $4,617.60, will only be released after the street repairs on North 4th Street are completed. And then we've got a table with the total cost breakdown here. So staff is recommending City Council approve the resolution accepting completion of Division 1 of the Phase 2 Sanitary Sewer Systems Improvements Project and partial release of the final retainage in the amount of $42,003.55 in 30 days, if no claims have been filed against the project. The remaining $4,617.60 of retainage will be released after the repairs to North 4th Street have been completed. Do we have a motion supporting that?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any
Why don't they
discussion?
just fix the street now?
Yeah.
And be done with it? It's not winter yet.
So the contractor who does this repair, Norris Asphalt, they're busy for the season, it's almost ending season, so they're proposed to do it next spring.
It's seal coat, isn't it?
Right.
Why don't we do it and charge them?
We can do it, I mean, we are already tied up with our streets that we're trying to finish up.
Thanks, Keely.
Any other thoughts? Roll call.
Calgery,
Yes.
Dross,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Addison,
Yes.
Walling,
Yes.
Yates,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Item I, let's consider an ordinance amending chapter 15.04, which is the building code of the Oskaloosa Municipal Code, second reading, The City of Oskaloosa states, in Building Code 15.04, states that a building permit shall expire and become null void if the work is not commenced within 120 days from the date of issuance, or if the work is suspended or abandoned for 120 days. The 2015 International Residential Building Code that was adopted by the city states that a building permit shall expire and become null and void if the work is not commenced within 180 days from the date of issuance, or if the work is suspended or abandoned for 180 days. So city staff is recommending a change to the city ordinance to 180 days to be consistent with the 2015 International Residential Code. Staff also wishes to correct some errors referencing former versions of the International Fire Code and the International Building Code, and the attached ordinance updates the amended sections of Oskaloosa's Building Code accordingly. So, this is the second reading. Do we have a motion of support?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on this? Roll call, please.
Dross,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Coniston,
Yes.
Walling,
Yes.
Yates,
Yes.
Calgery,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Item J, an ordinance amending chapter 15.12, the electrical code of the Oskaloosa Municipal Code. This is the third reading. On January 1st of 2018, the newest edition of the National Electric Code, known as 2017 NEC, went into effect in the state of Iowa. Municipalities must adopt the same edition of the NEC that the state has adopted. Oskaloosa's municipal code is in need of attention as it still references the 2014 NEC and includes other references which have become outdated. And so the ordinance would be updated and amended with adoption of the 2017 edition of the National Electrical Code. It would remove references to the city engineer and replace with electrical inspector or development services director as appropriate. And number 3 would also remove references to Iowa Power and Light Company, replacing it with Mid-American Energy Company. Staff is recommending approval. Do we have a motion supporting that?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on that? Roll call, please.
Moore,
Yes.
Coniston,
Yes.
Walling,
Still no.
Yates,
Yes.
Calgery,
Yes.
Dross,
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Gets us to the end of the regular agenda. Any reports from city staff, city manager, anything?
Mayor, Council, just a reminder that it is Chief Neff's final council meeting tonight, and I wanted to tell him I really do appreciate the time that we've spent working together. Mark was appointed to chief prior to my arrival, so I've only known Chief Neff as fire chief for the 10 years that I've been here. So thank you, Mark, for your service and dedication to the community, and best of luck on your next endeavor. There will be a party, and it's October 17th from 3 to 6 p.m. at the fire station. So
I'll be
there's a
there.
potluck. Certainly encourage the council, the public to attend as well.
Just for the food.
Very good. Okay. City clerk, can you top a party announcement?
no, sir.
No. City attorney, anything?
Nothing, thank you.
Okay. City council members, Bob Drost.
I would like to just remind everybody, or maybe let everybody know that October 23rd, the Daily Auditorium is hosting Dr. Willie Jolly, who is one of the top 5 motivational speakers in the world, as voted by the Toastmasters International. So, and he's come to Oskaloosa, so take advantage of that opportunity. I think tickets are for sale through the auditorium. Show at 7 o'clock, so take advantage of that opportunity while we have it. That's it.
Joe?
Nothing?
Diane?
No, thank you.
Scotty?
No, thank you.
Doug?
Nothing nice.
Okay. Tom?
11 years ago when I got this job, and I've enjoyed all of it, but Pam Blomgren was a mentor to me, very much so. And our hearts and our prayers go out to Pam and her family for the loss of Jim. Thank you.
Well spoken. Yeah, Jim Blomgren also was a city council member, and I've heard from time to time that he acted as a mentor for a number of our city council members over the years. He also acted as a friend and mentor to me in a lot of ways. And so, with his service to the city of Oskaloosa through the city council service, also as a judge, also as an attorney in town with numerous cases that he worked on, Also as the or as the county attorney, he's been a tremendous influence in Oskaloosa for a number of years. And so his sense of humor and big picture kind of attitude, that it seemed like no matter what was going wrong, he could find something to smile about and say, we'll get through this. That's something that I think all of us have tried to adopt as we know him, is to be able to put things in perspective and work with the cards we're dealt. So Oskaloosa is going to miss him. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.